Makoto Uchida wanted to make a Dragon Quest game. He pitched the concept to Sega management, and they turned it down. So he looked at what was succeeding in arcades instead, and decided to take Double Dragon street brawling mechanics and rebuild them around the world of Dragon Quest. Magic spells, fantasy settings, dragons, and a sword and sorcery atmosphere dropped over the top of a two-player beat-em-up. That was the pitch that got approved, and it became Golden Axe in 1989. The team that built it was 5 people, and development took about a year. Uchida had just come off Altered Beast, which he was dissatisfied with, and this was his second attempt to get the controls and the feel right. The hardware they were using was the Sega System 16, the same board as Altered Beast, and it had a hard limit of 6 active characters on screen at once, meaning enemies had to be choreographed carefully so the system never had to render more than 4 at a time. The game was so soaked in Uchida's love of American action films that the voice samples used throughout were lifted directly from Conan the Barbarian and Rambo. First blood without permission, enemy death screams, the cries during combat, the sounds that play when characters are hit. Several of them are pulled directly from recognizable scenes in those films. The screams of Schwarzenegger's enemies at Stonehenge in Conan, and the police officer falling from the helicopter in Rambo both ended up in the arcade cabinet. The Genesis version added an entire extra stage that does not exist in the arcade original, plus a duel mode that let 2 players fight each other. The arcade ends with Death Adder. The Genesis ends with Deathbringer, a second final boss that reveals Death Adder was not the top of the chain at all. Golden Axe was the highest grossing arcade game in the United States in January 1990 and was named the most important arcade game of 1989 by the Killer List of Video Games. Uchida was not involved in Golden Axe 2, which Sega rushed into production without him, and which most critics described as an obvious rehash. He returned for the arcade sequel Revenge of Death Adder in 1992, which is widely considered the best game in the series and has never received an official home release.